Welcome to The Working Actor. Hello, everybody who's tuning in from all over the world for this special edition of The Working Actor, because you are going to find out how to get represented by the best in the industry. He's not called the representation whisperer for nothing. Brian Patacca joins us on The Working Actor just to give us a little bit of his insight on how the industry is doing, also some of his backstory on how he became so fabulous at being an actor, a coach, a mentor, and a podcast host. And he joins us today to share on how you can get represented in this industry. So, Brian, I bow to you right now. Thank you so much for making time for us today. Please give us some of the secret sauce. First, how are you?
I'm doing really, really well. I appreciate it. I'm so glad to be here today. I'm really excited the introduction, I feel like my work here is done, but I'm excited to tell people it's something I'm incredibly passionate about. I just was so frustrated seeing actors get like bang their head up against the wall, just trying to get representation and then trying to have some kind of loop where like, well, if I book the perfect job, then reps will pay attention to me. If I get the perfect headshot, then finally they'll listen to me. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. We're just putting ourselves in the waiting room way too often.
Yeah.
And so I started to think about it in a really different way. And as I interviewed managers and agents and asked them what they wanted to actually receive from actors, so that we weren't just like thinking that we knew because someone in 1984 told us how to reach out to representation. We've been doing it the same way ever since. I mean, I guess the internet was invented between them, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And to dispel all these myths that get in the way of actually connecting, remembering that like at the other end of reaching out to an agent is a human being. And I think we tend to think of the monolith of managers and agents, and they all are exactly the same person. And I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like chocolate ice cream, and sometimes I feel like vanilla ice cream. I'm fickle. My opinions change every single day. So
Right.
treating managers and agents like they're one monolith just wasn't the right way to think about it. And so to me, it's been really exciting to see how successful it can be. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, talk about successful. So we can brag. You have helped over 700 actors find representation and counting, right? So you get
Yeah.
calls every day from people that you have mentored and helped coach, just give them some advice and you help them get representation. But what I love most about your story is that you help actors not struggle. And when you think of actors, we always say it's the job that you struggle the most, right? We're always hustling. People are always
Yes.
trying to figure it out. You don't know when your next gig is going to come,
Yes.
etc. So, tell me how it all started for you. First, you started off as an actor, so you
Yeah.
wanted to be in this industry very badly. So, tell me a
Yeah.
little bit about your backstory and how you know so much about acting and why you're so good at this.
Thank you for saying that. So what I'll say is I started as an actor. I loved acting. I'm very lucky. I'm a white guy who obviously I'm gay. I mean, to think obviously I'm gay, but I can present as straight. And so I was booking all these commercials and I was very blessed because I was a privileged position that was a role that was needed a lot when I was in New York City. So I was booking, if I was not on set every 12 days, if I was either on TV or on a commercial set or hosting a show, I was like, my career's fallen into the dumps. My friends, of course, wanted to punch me in the face, but I
Yeah.
was lucky. I was successful. I made my living as an actor. So that was really awesome for me. Totally blessed. And I was backstage at a show that I was in for a couple of years in New York. And I heard all the other actors who I was with on stage every night, and they were so fabulously talented. And they were like, I can't get an agent, and I'm not getting the auditions I want. And I was like, what? Like, wait, wait, wait. You are some of the most talented people I've ever been around in my life. That can't be right. And so I just started thinking about this. I was like, there's got to be something here. And I know I had a little bit of let's say, a unexpected gift of when I first got out of school. I went to Northwestern in Chicago, then I came to New York City, and I worked in advertising for a few years. And
Mhm.
my clients were Broadway shows, so I was really close to the business and understanding copywriting and marketing, and that just like somehow my brain loved that stuff and just soaked it all in. And so I know that while yes, I was a castable type as an actor, and I think I had the talent to back it up, I also knew how to do the business. And so quickly, I would be like, "Come here, come sit next to Mama." To my little cast members between our shows. I'd be, let me show you how you're going to reach out to agents. And so we started doing it, and they'd get agents and they'd get more auditions. And it became incredibly gratifying to me to have this other part of my career where I got to test things out on myself to see if it worked, and then bring it over to these actors that I cared about and loved so much. And then I think a little bit of I'm from Ohio. I think a little bit of Midwestern work ethic was in there. Where like you can't just be an actor, Brian. You must have another job. So all the time I was booking these jobs, I was coaching actors on the side. And then one thing I say is that I think happiness begets risk. When we're happy, we can take risk a little easier. So I was in New York, had a successful career, and I was like, I've always wanted to try LA. There's never going to be the perfect time. Let me go to LA. Came to LA, was working, got booked a bunch of TV right away, and I was on set. I remember it clear as day. I was on set at the newsroom, series finale, cute little scene I got to do, and I remember being there. Aaron Sorkin is there. awesome moment, reading at the table, blah, blah, blah. And I remember going, this is really fun. But I had to cancel on 4 of my clients to be on set today. And I had this realize, whoa, lightning bolt, like you have more fun coaching than you do acting. It wasn't like go walk away from acting never again. Like it wasn't that moment, but it was very like, whoa, am I allowed to like coaching more than I like? I had to like give myself permission. And so a very thoughtful friend of mine was like, Brian, why don't you just try it for 2 weeks? See if for 2 weeks, if you don't do the acting thing and you really push into coaching, in the 2 weeks, turn to 2 months, turn to 2 years. I have certification as a life coach. I am a non-denominational reverend. So no religion, no dogma, no doctrine, but just the spiritual truths of all spiritualities, I would say is a better way to say that. And all of that was so that I could communicate with artists. Actors are artists, and and it is so easy when the business comes along to forget that you are here. That's not, I say this with no, this is not popcorn fast food philosophy over here. You are here to change the world. We have to act like our purpose is that profound before we say, let me go get an agent. Like your agent is part of that. Your agent isn't part of let me get some jobs. Like that's like a low level frequency that I'm not interested in trying to work on. I'm interested in our artists who are out there to make a difference. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm going to imagine that you watch TV and you talk about it with your friends, or you watch a movie and you talk about it with your friends, and this happened and that. Like that is those conversations. That is what makes a life. That is what makes your belief. That is what makes your values. And so to me, representation is part of this grand design of you being a part of what the world we want to see is. So if you have that approach, we don't have to act, we got a lot to do over here, but we don't have to act like we're like playing with toys. That was a long answer to a short question.
No, it was a fabulous answer though, because there was so much information in there and it was very inspiring, right? Like you're motivating me. So you left your, well, you didn't leave your acting career, but you made a decision not to pursue acting as much as you wanted to pursue coaching and helping actors find representation and agents and be better at their craft. So
Yeah.
a lot of actors do find it hard or they're struggling to find representation. So you have been dubbed the representation whisperer. What do you think is the struggle when it comes to finding representation?
The biggest thing is we have to be like willingly non-delusional. So here's what happens. An actor is going to reach out to reps. It's the number one thing that happens. I'm going to show that my career is moving and grooving. I'm going to kind of puff things up to make it sound my career is so good. And look what I booked on my own. And look at these auditions that I'm getting on my own. And look at these casting directors who are calling me in on my own. My career is going so well. Do you want to get on this moving train over here? Because my career is awesome. Do you know what I hear as the agent?
Brag.
You don't need me. Well, you don't need me. Why? And then also let's go the next for first is, well, you don't need me. You're very happy with what you have. Why would you need me? That's the first thing. And the second is, and this is tougher, I think, girl, I'm looking at your resume. You're delusional. You haven't booked in, like, I can see what you've actually booked. And so now I'm to have this two pieces of fight, which is one, an actor who thinks everything is perfect and wonderful and amazing in their career, and they don't really know what could be possible for them. That's going to be a hard client for me to work with. So what's difficult, let's say different instead of difficult. What's different about the way that I like to approach this is acknowledge the gap in what you want and where you're at so that an agent can see, am I the person to help with the gap that this person wants, to fill that gap? And that's vulnerable because that means you're saying things like, I'm not able to get into this kind of a room, or I've only been able to get this far. And that's a very different communication than look how awesome I am. Also, let's be real. When you say, look how awesome I am, it does feel a little bit like inauthentic, like it doesn't feel right. Because then, and the reason why I think what happens is an actor will reach out, let me reach out to 12 agents and see what happens. And then nothing happens. And then a year later, they'll do it again because it was hard to like gird your loins to be inauthentic in those emails and try to do this. Yeah.
You know what? That's like just mind blown. It's so factual, but it's like hearing it from you. It's like for the first time where you're like, it's true. Why would I boast about myself when I'm looking for an agent to represent me?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. And it's not to say you don't get to talk about the good things that have happened. Of course you get to do that. But what you just can't say it's all good. If you just say it's all good, then the agent, well, keep on going, girl. Things that are
Yeah.
going good for you. Yeah. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, you've got this master class that's coming up, and I want to encourage people to join in on your master class. So, what can they learn from this, and what are some of the things and the tools that you're providing to actors?
Sure. So the masterclass is called Make Agents Want You. If you go to makeagentswantyou.com, you register, it's live. I want to make sure everyone hears that it's live because just like you and I being here right now, When you learn something, you're going to have questions. And so I want to be there to make sure you know how to apply it to your own career. And here's what you'll learn. One of the most verbally, because you're going to go to a meeting at some point,
Yeah.
and also in an email. And let me tell you, actors, pause for the cause, because you are not put on this planet as an actor to necessarily be a good writer about yourself. That's not what you were here to do. So it's important that you just acknowledge, like, okay, this is a skill I'm learning so that I can do my acting, not because I have to have it to be a good actor. So I think it's natural that it doesn't come organically for actors to be able to write about themselves. So one of the first things we're going to do is talk about how do you talk about yourself and what is the language to use to do that in a way where we don't leave what I think happens is often is we leave the wrong kind of a gap where someone gets to make an assumption. So you could say something like, I booked a web series and I played a part where I did XYZ 1, 2, 3. And the difficulty there is, okay, so because I'm a snooty agent, my assumption is going to be, well, the web series was done in your mom's basement and it's really bad footage and it was probably bad writing. And that means nothing to me because I don't recognize that credit. As
Oh,
opposed to saying series regular in a 9-episode web series directed by Butt Cheese McGee, whatever you're going to put to make the person sound interesting, right? And I played a character who, and then you fill in the blanks of what that character did. What am I getting from that? This was real.
yeah.
I get some of your castability because you're talking about that character. And that's just like a tip of the iceberg of that writing piece. That's one of the things we're going to go over there. The other is we're going to blast through some myths that have been floating around the business for way too long. And some of
Like
them are
what?
going to piss me. Well, the one that is my, like, bugs me so hard. And people are going to want to turn off the stop listening when I say this because it's such a big one, is that you have to have a target list in order to reach out to agents. Now, here's what I want to say.
No.
Girl, no, here's why. So every actor you know can do the same target list that you can. You're going to go on IMDb and you're going to Google this and you're going to find out who that girl's agent is in your acting class or that person you saw on that TV show. We can all do the same research. It is a fake behavior or process in which you're trying to attempt some kind of authenticity at someone you know nothing about. Because even when an agent says to you, you should know who you're reaching out to. Thank you, agent. If that agent has not helped over 700 actors get representation, I just want to question whether or not they know how to help actors get representation rather than just the way that that one agent has received a few actors. Be really mindful of that. Also, be really mindful of a casting director telling you this is how you reach out to agents. Thank you so much, casting director. How many actors have you helped find an agent? Yes, they're professionals. Yes, they are experts. Don't say their advice is not worthy, but be mindful because I know anybody who puts the word casting director in front of their name, when they say something, it is more true to you than your own honesty. And if it doesn't feel right to you, be a little more mindful. Like we all do this with the news. We don't watch fake news, right? We pay attention to real news. So we want to be really mindful around the information we're letting in. So that is to say, target list. Let me get back there.
Yeah.
You do a target list, you are deciding that you know best which agents and managers will be interested in you. And you don't know those people. You don't know what you're going to, oh, I looked at their roster and I think that their clients look a lot like me, or they cast people like me, or they like people like me on their roster, right? There are 1,200 managers and agents in Los Angeles. There are 800 in New York City. And the number of times I'm thinking about my client, she got an email from CAA this week. Okay. CAA said to her, you're not right for us right now, but we love everything you've put in front of us. Please stay in touch. We want to keep tracking your career.
Okay,
Okay.
that's good.
Yeah,
That's
that's the kind of
good.
message. That's the kind of message we want, right? Now,
Yeah.
would she put CAA on her target list? No, she never would have known to do that, right? I'm also thinking of my actress. She was so I want to be mindful when I'm talking about stuff here, y'all. When I say when I tell you a story about an actress and I talk about the credits that they have or the history they've had, be careful of making them so special that you think what I'm teaching you won't also apply to you. So
Yeah.
I'm going to talk about an actress who had a couple seasons on Grey's Anatomy. And you know, I think, oh, well, she's got Grey's Anatomy. It's going to be easy for her. Actually, she went through a lot of personal turmoil, believing that she could get another agent. And then also personal turmoil around, I shouldn't even have to reach out to an agent. By now, I should have already landed. Like I should be somewhere by now because I was on Grey's Anatomy. Sure, she got like 36 plus meetings with managers and agents, was really incredible. And many of the once she ended up signing with, she never had heard about in her entire life. They're great. They're working really, really hard for her. She is so happy. She never would have put them on a target list. So what does that mean? You have to open yourself up to, I'm going to get some no's because I'm going to reach out to 3 times more people than I think that I should. It also doesn't mean you're not like, I'm not going to do the research and I'm going to show up in a meeting with not even know who this person is. Obviously, once you get the meeting, you'll do the research and find out a little bit more about them so that you can show up like a real person who's done their homework. But doing the research beforehand is an act in engineering small risk because reaching out to representation is vulnerable and we're just trying to protect ourselves by saying, well, if I only reach out to 12 people, then only 12 people can say no. And what usually you get is 12 silence. You get nothing from the 12 people you reach out to. So this is a way to like double, triple, quadruple your odds. And it isn't throwing spaghetti against the wall because you're obviously going to meet with them and suss them out and see what's a good fit. So that was a long answer to that part, target list. And the last thing, ready, is referrals are BS. Now, I'm not saying referrals can't help you, but what I know is an actor will hide behind a referral. Wait till I get my reel ready. Wait till I get my new headshot. Wait till I get my next credit. Then I will use my referral. Then there's one more person between you and that agent to decide if you should work with them, right? And then who knows if your referral ever comes through. Oh, yeah, I dropped off your stuff. Or, oh, yeah, I emailed it over to them. And you're like, I don't believe you that you did. And then that agent is doing a favor for someone that they know instead of just seeing you for your art. So I'm not saying referrals are never going to make it work. What I will say that people, the 724 people who have helped get representation, most often when they get to the end of this process and they're about to send out their emails and reach out to the agents, they go, screw these referrals. I don't like, they're so full of themselves. They want an agent who wants them just for them, not for somebody else's recommendation.
Okay, there's a lot to unload here, and there's a lot to address. So you were talking first about, make a target list of some of the agents that you would like to represent you. But some actors who have no representation at all will just settle, and I don't mean settle in a negative way, but will just settle for that one agent who's just willing to say yes to them, right? So it's
Yeah.
really hard to make that target list because you're at a point of desperation where you're like, I just need somebody to represent my work. I just
Yes.
need somebody to believe in me, correct?
Yes.
Um, and so when you look at some agents who are representing like a Ryan Reynolds or a George Clooney, you want that person to
Yes.
represent you because they
Sure.
have that wonderful, list of actors who are doing so well and are so successful. So yeah, it is very vulnerable. So what's the best way when you do contact these agents and you do hear that silence and those
Yes.
days of silence? What's the best way to go around? Because I hate the word, oh, just circling back or I'm just
No, we're not
waiting.
going to circle back. No, and no circling back.
Okay,
Okay.
so what do we do as a follow-up so that we
Great.
don't seem annoying?
You are speaking my language right now because Natasha,
Okay.
you have to follow up. Let me say this another way. You aren't reaching out to agents if you don't follow up. Let me just be really clear. One email means nothing. Every morning, Natasha, I'm going to show you let you go backstage with me in my life. You're maybe similar. I'm sure a lot of people listening are similar. You get up in the morning and you look at your phone and you go delete, delete, delete to the emails you're not going to look at that day.
Yeah.
And then maybe you reply to one or two, and then you leave ones for later on that you're going to respond to. The same way every human being in the world does, the same way agents and managers do. And today, Joe Agent McGee, he had a crappy night the night before. He's not interested in meeting new agents, actors. He's deleting all the people he doesn't know today. Moving on to the next thing. You have decided because it took you really wrote that email. You worked really hard on that email. They didn't respond. So they don't like me. And I'm a horrible actor. And I'll never have an agent. And there's a whole story being written, right? So we have to let go of the belief that a non-response means anything. Now, I'm going to offer the idea that if you haven't heard no, you also haven't done a great job yet. I want to provoke a no or a yes from someone, or like a tell me more, which could happen sometimes, right? So what I do in the follow-up, the way I think about the follow-up is, oh, that person didn't respond to me. So the empowering thought is, maybe I didn't give them enough information to make a decision because they didn't say no and they didn't say yes and they didn't even say like, tell me more about you. So I'm going to come back in and say, hey, maybe I didn't give you enough information to make a decision. Here's a little bit more material. Here's another self-tape, or here's a clip from a scene I did on a show. It's because I didn't include that the first time. And so it's just a belief in not that I did a crappy job the first time around, but for you to make a decision, you like a little more info. And that feels so much better than bumping this to the top of your inbox because I don't want to make sure you didn't miss it. And also, like, that feels crappy to receive also for this person who's a stranger. Let's be clear. Like, who are you to bump something to the top of my inbox? I don't know you. Right? Go away. Right? And then in the last email, I think because I asked for a 3 email sequence. There's like a fourth email if you want to do that later, but we'll just do the 3 for now. And we'll talk this through a bit during the masterclass as well.
Yep.
In the third email, I think it's time for you to say, hey, I'm not going to keep showing up in your inbox because I don't want to be somewhere, not say like where I'm not wanted, but basically like this may be the last time I reach out to you. I want to give you a chance. Here's one more last piece of information in case you need it to decide if we should meet. I also sometimes think that's a place to say, and if we're not a match, please let me know that too, because it will help me in my search. And I will tell you the number of times I have people get beautiful no's. You're doing great. You're not right for us right now. Let me know in the future. Like the people who have come back to me and said, Brian, I got such a beautiful nose. I really feel like I'm a part of this business right now. And what I like about this is let's pretend that person who said no to you, you work with this great agent for a few years, and then you're like somebody else that said yes to you. You can tell you're outgrowing them. You get to go back to one of those people and say, hey, we talked a couple of years ago. It was a quick email conversation. Now you could say I'm circling back. I'm circling back because I've changed some things in my career since I talked to you last. How open would you be to having a chat? The other thing, quick pro tip, everybody, quit asking to set up a meeting. Like, do you know how hard it is to set up a meeting? Natasha and I open our phone. Okay, great. Let's look at what day we can meet with you. Geez, Louise, we are busy people. Blah, 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 blah. I'll see you in October, right? I would say, how open are you to a chat? And put your phone number in there. The number of times I have clients who get phone calls because they just want to get a little bit of information before they're ready to meet with you, right? So just make that a little bit easier. You don't need to go on a full first date yet. You don't even know if we're like a good match. So just be open to, it doesn't have to be a sit down meeting every time. And then the other thing, another pro tip, let us not use the word roster. Let us not use the room. Is there room for me on your roster? That is some outdated BS that you're bringing into the conversation. As the agent who's looking at your stuff, I wasn't thinking about my roster. I was thinking about this wonderful actress who sent me their material and looking at their footage and looking at their headshot and suddenly like, if there's room for you on your roster, oh, let me think about my roster. I was actually just falling in love with the art in front of me. And now you're making me think about that. So let them be the one to bring that problem to the conversation, not you.
Oh my goodness, I hear so many people's pens and pencils scribbling because they're taking notes right now. This is
Good.
amazing information. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Okay, so I know you have a unique approach when you do meet the agent. Was
Yeah.
that it, or is it now we're face to face?
Great. Natasha, can I just thank you right now in the middle of this interview saying letting me go on for so long? I'm just having a great time and I appreciate you letting me go on because I'm on the
First
other
of all,
side of the table. So thank
I
you.
would do a disservice to everyone tuning in if I cut you off and ask more questions because you're giving us such great insights. So I think it's amazing that you're giving us this hour to talk to the actors who are tuning in because it's really valuable insight. And again, you hear the little poofs going off in my head saying that's mind blowing. That's amazing. So you
Thank
get
you.
your
Okay.
you get your moment with the agent. Now
Yes.
he or she has finally said, "Yeah, I want to meet you."
Yes.
What's your unique approach to kind of like impress them?
So a couple things to think about here. First thing is if you have done this well, so the way that I'm going to outline in that masterclass and make agents want you, right, is by the time you're getting to a meeting, that meeting isn't another hoop for you to jump through. That meeting is, I'm just verifying that what I've learned about you is actually true. Let me tell you why I know this.
Oh.
In the numbers and the way that our clients get, 7, 12, 14 meetings. They also get 7, 12, 14 offers. They're not like taking a meeting and then getting 3 offers. And the reason that happens is because you're presenting yourself so honestly, without delusion, without room also for someone to make an assumption about you. I think that's an important piece of this. I'm going to side note for a second. If you go to a restaurant and you're like, hey, I want to order this. Hey, server, can you tell me a little bit about this? Like you have the server right there to like ask a little bit about it if you're not sure it's what you want for dinner that night. The unfortunate thing when you send an email to a manager or an agent is there's no server in the room. There's nobody to ask. I'm trying to read between the lines. Does this taste lemony or does this taste like mango? Like I can't tell. There's so many ingredients. Like there's no one there to do that. So what we have to do when we're communicating, which we're going to teach in this masterclass, is how do we make it so clear that the reader of my email can't make the wrong assumption about me? So that's part of why when you get to the meeting, you've been so clear about who you are that the meeting is, I'll say this, many of the clients will come back to me and said, they pitched themselves to me. I didn't have to pitch myself to them at all. So I'm not saying you shouldn't be professional. I'm not saying you shouldn't prepare. I have these top 20 questions most likely to be asked in a meeting. And I think that one of the ones that is most important to me is when an agent or manager says to you, what are your goals? Like, what do you want to do? There's going to be some form of that question that's asked of you. And I think it kind of unlocks my take on meetings. What an actor will often say in that moment is they'll kind of fall back to who they were rolling around in a black leotard in their undergrad or a drama school, and they'll be like, "I want to play roles that this about," and like, no, that is not the question on the table, people. Yes, that can be part of what you want in the world, but what that person is asking is, let me give you an example of an answer. I'm glad you asked. One day, let's win an Emmy together. I want to do TV and the work that I want. I think in the short term, look at my resume, you can see I've only got a couple co-stars on it, which I'm down to do co-stars if we think that's going to build things up the ladder, if we think that's the way to go about this. I know these three casting offices, Linda, Celine, and these three people, they don't know me yet. And to me, that is wild because they work on shows that I am really right for. So I think in the short term, I would love to focus on getting casting directors like that to get to know me, and whether that's auditions or we decide maybe I should go out and do a workshop or something. I know Casting Workbook offers some really great workshops, so maybe that's a way for me to do that, right? And then I think in the long term, I want to move up into bigger roles. And then I think this is like the clincher, as you say something like, and you and I both know sometimes the great audition just falls in your lap and you don't have to even think about that hierarchy. So I want to be a player when it comes to TV and film, and I want us to be celebrating that the same office is calling me in again and again. And then when we win that Emmy and we're on the red carpet, we take a great picture together and we celebrate with our kids. So does it hold your dream in it? Yes. Do you sound delusional? Absolutely not, because you brought your homework. These are people who should know me. It's weird that they don't know me yet. I just said to you, your job is going to be go back to your desk and get me auditions with these three casting directors, because that's the kind of work I want. It's not bossy, actually, because as the agent, I could go, you're totally right. And you know who else should meet you? Is this one and this one and this one. It's not like you're not in a collaborative place. It's you showing up to collaborate. It's you showing up with half the paints so you can paint the picture, right? And I think many of actors will just go, I want to book this kind of role, and then you're pulled back, and then the agent then becomes like a parental figure who's in charge of figuring out what's next. In that one meeting you had a year ago, because you're afraid to talk to them because they're going to drop you because you didn't book anything, and you're walking around with doom and dread because the next audition is your entire relationship hangs on it. That's how that gets set up that way. So I'm also speaking to those actors who are listening who are like, I don't know if I should leave my agent, or am I having stress? Like, part of this comes from the way we set up the relationship. And let's just be very honest. We are on planet Earth. Human beings are all we got for each other, right? We want to be here for each other. And so I want my relationships to be honest and deep and real. And agents and managers, no matter what you want to have, kind of career you want to have, they are part of what it means to be professional in this business. If you want to work in the community theater in your hometown for the rest of your life and you're happy there, please go do that. But if you this kind of work, you're not going to be able to get into those rooms without entering into that space, right?
Okay. We have a
Yeah.
question from Dan, which kind of falls along what you're talking about. He says, if you did settle for just an agent, should you be looking for better representation, or is it better to settle for the bad agent than having no agent at all?
Ooh, so it's never better let's watch the words bad agent for a second, because I think
Okay.
that's when we say that word. Dan, so listen up. So I never want you settling, but I'm a non-denominational reverend. I believe in love. I would rather have you renew your vows than divorce. And there's nothing wrong with divorce, but I'd rather have you try to renew your vows. So if you feel like there's a disjunct in the relationship with your reps, the first place I'm going to want you to do is, like, obviously, if there's total red flags, like they're stealing money, they've said inappropriate things to you, you haven't had an audition in an entire year, like those are pretty much clear red flags. Like, I don't actually have an agent. If you haven't got an audition in a year, you don't actually have an agent, or you can't even get them on the phone. Like, those are red flags. If it's not one of those things, then I say it is worth going into them and saying, hey, I wanted to check and see how things are going. Here's what I don't want you to say. You're not allowed to say, what can I do to make your job easier? No, thank you. Go away. Go back to your retail job, everybody. Go back to your serving job. You're not there to say that. That's a different conversation. We are here to have a conversation where we go, when you look out the window, do you see rain or do you see sunshine? Because right now I see rain. Does that make sense to everybody? Like, instead of it being, you're wrong, I'm wrong, we got to take a minute. So you say, hey, I want to check to see how things are going. And here's where you can get really kind, is you say, one of the only ways I have to kind of gauge how things are going, which is unfortunate, is like how many auditions we're going and how many auditions we're getting. And I know you do so much more work even when I don't get an audition. And so I'm curious, when you're looking at how we've done, I looked over the past 9 months, we've had 3 auditions. I'd get really clear on your numbers if you're going to say that, because that might also surprise them. And I wanted to check in with you. Does that feel about right to you so I can settle my expectations? I'm not here to be one of those actors who's just saying, get me more auditions. I wanted to have a different kind of conversation.
You are going to be the most watched working actor interview that we've had. I'm telling you right now. That was fabulous. I just need you to repeat that so I can record it. That was amazing.
Well, what else? Well, here's the thing that I think, Natasha, and I don't know if this is true for you. What's happening in this conversation on a more, let's say, spiritual level is we're returning to who we want to be in the business, not just the actions we want to take. And the person I want to be is someone who believes that no one is right and no one is wrong, and that we're all doing the best that we can. And so if I can have a conversation in that way, it takes out the sting of they don't like me, or they like this client better, or I didn't get this menu. It takes the sting out when it's like, I'm just going to be real with this person. And here's the thing, Dan, when you leave that meeting with your agent,
Yeah.
say, you're doing great. This is exactly how things should be. And and you go, no, like you can say, thank you so much. And you can leave that meeting and go, that doesn't work for me. That's where it takes some chutzpah and some guts and bravery to say, okay, I've heard from them and I appreciate what they said. And it also doesn't work for me. I have to imagine anyone watching right now has gone through a breakup in their life. I'm
Right.
not saying romance or intimacy should ever be in the business, but like you understand, no one's done anything wrong, but maybe we're not doing the same dance. Right. And so I think that's a good way to assess that. And then I just want to plant this little seed for everybody. If your agent ever asks you, hey, I need a headshot. Hey, I need this footage. Hey, I need this. Hey, I need that. If your agent is asking for you that, what you need to know is they've probably needed it 10 times before they asked you for it. So you need to put
Oh,
some freaking supercharged gas in the car and get that to them as fast as possible, because over the next few days, they're wishing they had that headshot when they're submitting you. So when I see actors question what their agent has asked for, I need you to let them be good at their job.
okay.
Let them sit at their desk and then do what they've asked for. Beg, borrow, and steal to make it happen is what I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Noted. So speaking of headshots, Veronica Moreland says, I've never had professional headshots, but have been booking off of decent but have been booking gigs off of decent headshots just taken by my partner. Should I do
Okay.
pro headshots before approaching agents?
Okay. So I'm of two minds here. Let me put myself on debate team for a second, right?
Okay.
So first of all, whatever these pictures are, they're working. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe we can get by with these. Part two is if I'm an agent who wants to work with professional actors, I'm going to expect them to have a professional headshot. So here's the weird part about this, Victoria. I'm not looking at your headshot right now. If your headshot is faking everybody out and it looks like a professional headshot, who cares? No one cares. No one knows your partner took it. Maybe your partner needs a job as a headshot photographer. Fine. But if I can tell it's not professional, you're going to get a level. And what an agent is going to do is make a judgment about you. Oh, this person doesn't know the business. Even if you know the ins and outs of this business like crazy, they don't know the business, or they'd have a professional headshot. So my vote would be at least get one before we reach out.
Okay, I love that. I wish we had an hour, 2 hours to speak with you. Okay, Paulina says, I've been told that when you reach out to agents, you should keep the email very short, direct, and precise without talking too much because agents are very busy. Is it true? You just went over that, of course. And if so, how to be concise and also properly present yourself. You just went through all of that. So,
Yes. Wait, but can I say something else? Can I say one
sure.
thing?
Yeah.
What was the name of who submitted that question?
Paulina.
Paulina. I've been told is where I want to stop with that question. Who has told you that? Who
Oh,
has told you that? I need us to get more mindful about where we're letting into our creative artistic souls about how to do things. So even though you heard the way I think you should approach this, you've heard my email, we're going to go through that in the masterclass. You should definitely come, Paulina, right?
yes.
Be mindful of I've been told. Who has that person? And I'm not putting myself on a pedestal here. There are other people who can help you get an agent, but has that person helped 700 people get agents? What bozo did you let into your artistic, creative, beautiful soul here, right? And I'm not disparaging somebody who could be great. Maybe it's a great person, right? And I'm not saying the advice is wrong, but just question it, because this business is slippery, right? And I want to protect anybody from taking your money or da 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 da. And I just want to make sure that we always think of ourselves. I've been told that you just go back and think about it.
Oh my goodness. So I know that you do a lot of different podcasts and you host a lot of different shows, but you also say that you use gratitude to open doors. So tell
Yeah.
me a little bit about that mindset. I know, we wake up every day and we choose, we're grateful for what we have, and the more grateful you are, the more great things you attract. But how do you use this mentality towards getting the gigs that you want?
Yeah. So the first thing I believe that we overlook in a life, in a career, are the beautiful people who the universe has brought to us, right? We often say things like, there for a reason, you met for a reason, it's kismet. I don't believe in coincidence. I think that things happen because they're meant to happen. And one of our most overlooked resources are the people that we've met in our career. And so what happens is there's a dichotomy going on. You have a creative, artistic ambition to achieve more, and you're always thinking about what is that next gig. Natasha, you might have this feeling at times, right? What is my
All
next
the time.
booking going to be? Right. What is my next booking going to be? And part of that is, and I'm going to break this apart a little bit, is because you are here to, I'm going back to this, change the world, and you want to touch more people every single day, your ambition is bigger than each gig you book, because the next one's got to come, because you're going to impact more people and you're going to touch more people's lives and you're getting more gigs from it. And certainly there's going to be abundance that comes from it, right? That personal artistic ambition can override the truth of what it means to love up on the people you've already been through with, the ones who've already helped you along your career. Because what happens is, who's the next casting director? Who's the next director? Who's the next TV show? When in fact, the producer you worked with 3 years ago is hiring someone today, and you should have stayed in touch with them for 3 years. So the
Mm.
way I think about this is, if we are grateful, oh, my little light turned off. Let me see if I can turn it. I think it died. We're just going to be a little bit darker. Are we okay? We're okay.
You look fabulous.
Right, right. If we're going to use gratitude, it's going to be in a way that we're saying thank you to every single person we've ever auditioned for, we've ever been on set with, we've ever had a callback with. And what that happens means is, your database of people that you've met is getting bigger. Your network is getting bigger and bigger and bigger as you move through your career. We're not going to have the time to go through like what is the whole process to stay in touch with them, but that is rooted in gratitude. In, we worked together a few years ago, checking in, hoping things are going great for you. Here's a little bit about what I'm up to. And we're just using that gratitude as a way of, instead of always asking for someone, we're saying how grateful we are that we were connected during that project. And so to me, it's new doors opening, because everybody's out there hustling who's in this business. Every
Yeah.
director, producer you've ever been is out there going on to their next gig, and you want to be on their mind when they're thinking about the role that's right for you or the project that's right for you. And the way that you do that is, you show up with gratitude for having met them. You continue to stay in touch with them. That to me becomes a career where you are now offer only, as opposed to I have to audition all the time, because the people that work with you are just saying, hey, I would like to request Natasha. I would like to request this person. That's what we want.
Okay, love that. I've got one more question to ask you. It's from Jillian, and it was a really great one. She says, I've been suggesting expanding myself into LA, or at least Vancouver, and it feels like my agent keeps shooting down my ideas every time I suggest them. I've been with this agent for 10 years, and they keep saying that it's all about simply auditioning again and again, and that it's only strategizing involved in the career path. What do you suggest she
Uh,
does?
so first of all, your agent is allowed to have their perspective,
Okay.
and allowed to be right in their life, that is what they believe. And that's what they believe for you. And how awesome is that they believe it's just about auditioning over and over again. You're like, great, I'm getting totally on board. Why is this agent in charge of the rest of your career? I have no idea. I'll just put that out there. They're not your manager. So, like, my mom's not in charge of my career. I would not get, like, why are you giving this So you want to get an agent in Vancouver? Let's reach out to agents in Vancouver. Come to the class. We'll figure out. There's no reason for this person to be in charge. Now, will you maybe, let's just kind of like be a good person here. You have to be courteous. We're very demure. We're very polite. We might just say something like, hey, I'm reaching out to agents in Vancouver. I wanted to let you know that, just in case you get a phone call from someone, I wouldn't want you to be surprised. I'll let you know how it goes. And of course, before I sign with anyone, I'll check in with you. You are in charge of your career, not this one person. So what I hear inside of this is this fear: if I do this, they'll drop me.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't say that. What they said is, we don't think you need it. Now, if they are so controlling, and I don't know if this, we'd have to coach around this a little bit, like if they would actually drop you for doing this, then I would start to get weird, like question some of the stuff that's going on. But
Okay.
you're allowed to reach out to agents in other cities 100,000%. And I think it's nice to be courteous, but not to give back the control. What I didn't say is, when someone gives me an offer, I'll check in with you to see if you like them, so we can decide. No, I said, of course, I'll let you know when I get an offer, so that I can make a decision. It is not giving them the decision back. That person is not in charge of your Vancouver career. Give me a break. They don't even know Vancouver. They don't even know how to get their way around Vancouver, right? So I have actors. I'm thinking about my actor, Elisa. She's an American. She lives in Paris. She has agents, and we have agents for her in Paris. We have agents for her in the UK. She has agents in LA, right? She works in all three places. She didn't say to her agent in Paris, is it okay if I get an agent in LA? Like, what? None of your business. right? Now, certainly you want to have the breadth and width of a career with a team that supports you everywhere, but boots on the ground wise, the agent in Paris is going to have very little to do with what the agent in LA does. Maybe once in a while, a project will come from LA that's casting a local in Paris, and both of the agents will get in on that. That'll be awesome. That's what it's looked like to have a team. So let's take away this idea that your parent is in charge of what happens next in your career. And I use the word intentionally. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I love all of this information, and it makes me think, like, I know at first you wanted to be an actor, but yes, this is definitely your calling.
Thank
Coaching
you.
and mentoring is definitely what you were born to do because this is just such solid advice. Do you miss acting at all?
I miss the wrong parts of acting. And so I talk about this with my actors.
Okay.
I miss the feeling of, hell yeah, I got it. Or hell yeah, I beat someone. That's a better way to say it, which is why I go to CrossFit. Competition is not part of acting. And I will say to everyone, be really careful because I hear actors say things like, yeah, I'm doing web series, but it's my friend's web series. They just cast me. I didn't have to audition. Like they'll poop on it because they didn't have to audition. I'm like,
Right.
girl, you want to have you think Nicole Kidman is auditioning? No, she gets off. You want a career where you don't audition, and their
Yeah.
friends are who hire them. So we have to really believe into the idea of if that competition piece or beating people out is getting you off too much, you want to kind of like dissect that a bit because it's really about relationship, which we've talked about.
Oh my goodness, I love it. Okay, so we have been chatting with so many people from the US, London, and Canada who have all tuned in for this, and I'm sure they're going to want to hear more from you. I mean, you are our friend here at Casting Workbook. We would love to have you back on The Working Actor, but tell us more about this masterclass and how soon should they sign up?
Great. So you should sign up as soon as you can. It's next week.
Yeah.
Makeagentswantyou.com is the website. Isn't that the cutest URL you ever heard?
I
Um,
love it.
Full disclosure, I stole it from the cover of a Cosmo magazine because it said make men want you. And I was like, no, make agents want you. So it works for agents and managers anywhere around the world. The class is Thursday, Saturday, and Tuesday of next week. It's live. I tried to pick times that will work in time zones all over the world. And it's about I'd say like 75 minutes long. I'll stay till every single question is answered during that webinar because I want everyone to walk away and be able to take action that day. Or for my actors who have representation, I want you to feel like you know mo better. Should you stay? Should you move on? What are my other options? Because I think a lot of those actors are just frightened to take any action because who wants to be out there unrepresented or they're scared it would be too hard to reach out to agents again. So that's really who that's for. And beware, I am going to blow through some long-standing myths that have been in this business for way too long. You've heard me talking about them today about approaching agents and the right way to do it. The one thing that I'll say about this is bring a notebook. You're going to want to take notes so you can take steps to take action after that. Yeah.
Ryan Patacca, I am giving you a standing ovation. I'm going to stand right now.
Thank you.
This was like the best working actor that we've had in a long time.
Oh, yay.
Yeah, it's been so valuable, and I mean, I'm hooked on you. I'm so grateful for this time with you. Like we have to be grateful for everything. So I'm grateful for having this time with you on The Working Actor, and I'm sure everyone tuning in is really appreciative too. So thanks so much for making time. It's been great.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And I love Casting Workbook, so I'm so proud of everything you guys are doing there.
Oh, thank you. I hear that, well, I hear that you've had a tour of Casting Workbook and everyone loves you as well. So come back anytime, please.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Bye. I'll see you at class next week.
Yes, in class
Yeah.
next week with Brian, because you don't want to miss that. So he is a podcast host, a mentor, a coach, an actor, and a friend of the Casting Workbook family. So don't miss his masterclass next week. And we will be back with The Working Actor in 2 weeks. But until then, thank you, Brian. Thank you, Emily. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. It's been an amazing hour with you, Brian. Thank you.
Thank you, for sure.
Thanks.